Welcome in. This is 300 Yards to Unknown, and joining me a day later than we usually do. I appreciate the flexibility. It's Eric Patterson at EPAT Golf. What up, Eric?
How's it going, Rick? Yeah, I got bumped off the schedule for a legit PGA Tour player, so no issues with that.
Yeah, you got bumped for Doc. Is that all
Yeah, I
right?
mean
Does that
that's
hurt your
fine. That's
feelings?
fine. No, not
Okay.
at all. You former US AM champion, he's contended a few times on tour. First round leader last week, so
Yeah,
yeah, no issue with that.
he cashed some tickets for us, so I figured if I could get him on Tuesday, I'll get him on Tuesday. We're recording this a day later. It's Wednesday. So we actually, honestly, it's probably better because we got like Ryder Cup news now we can talk through. Like we got an extra day to let things boil a little bit. But before we get into that, EPAT, we've got to talk about Rocket Mortgage Classic, which in turn means we have to talk about Bryson DeChambeau. I guess let's just start here. What do you think about Bryson's performance last week?
All right, truthfully, off the top, I didn't see a single shot of the entire week, but
Okay.
I could envision how it went. Bryson, we saw this coming. We knew this win was going to happen eventually, whether it was this week or I'm surprised he's not playing the Workday, but one of the
Yep.
next few weeks. It's just you have to admire the transformation. The results obviously came quick. It just yeah, he's a dominant force right now off the tee, and if he one other part of his game clicks, and last week it was the putting, he's going to win a lot more. So until someone figures out how to chase him down or catch him on an off week, he's going to be at the top of the leaderboard a
Yeah,
lot
it's
more than maybe some people will like.
yeah, okay. So now is he turning into the villain? And I know like everybody loves a good villain, right? Like you've got your Patrick Reed, you've got your Sergio Garcia, you've got your Ian Poulter at Ryder Cups or whatever. Like everybody loves a good villain. Is Bryson the new villain?
Like, I guess so. I don't. So last week I was cheering for him. Like obviously I wanted him to do well. I didn't have
Right.
any bets on him or anything, but that his comment Saturday about the cameraman just like set me off a little bit. That just came off as bratty, like entitled. It was a terrible look for him, and I never really considered him a villain. I considered him a character up until then. I loved everything he did, as absurd as some of the things he was doing were. It just yeah, that cameraman comment about wanting privacy on the course, like, dude, you're playing for millions of dollars. It comes with the territory. You're on camera for a reason, so just like own it. Own it. Your actions on and off the course, and that is your brand. Like it set me off a little bit. I'm glad I kind of wasn't fully invested in the tournament to really react on Twitter or anything, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I guess he's the villain. That's okay. Him and Patrick Reed can team up together now and take on the rest of the American roster.
But it's such a bad look because he takes the swipe. If he just kept going, like if he didn't confront the cameraman, we never would have even noticed or known he took a swipe at the sand. Like the fact that he even brought it up made it worse. And then he like doubled down on it again after he won. He's like on Twitch like still defending himself like homeboy, it's like you're on the wrong side of this.
I,
And like, okay, if you he's upset that his bratty, petulant behavior got caught on camera, so he yelled at the cameraman instead of not behaving like a petulant brat.
yeah, your words are better than mine for describing how he was acting. I obviously didn't see the sand swipe, but he did double down. It just I mean, he could have just came out and said, "Look, I had a moment of rage on the course. I was frustrated. It happens. I apologize. I'm moving forward." But
Yeah.
he turned it into this like brand play and like protecting his image, which is not what we want as fans. We want to see the entire story. We don't want, we've talked about this before. We Similar to the John Rahm story from TPC Sawgrass. We need to see the entire character of a player, not just the good. We need to see
Right.
their low points as well. And if Bryson wants, the PGA Tour to only film his good shots, his good reactions when he's signing autographs for fans and not shooing them off or something, it's like they're not out there to protect the brand. And I hope that's not where broadcasts are going. And I hope that's not this scene wasn't a deterrent for future broadcasts to like stop filming these players at their low moments. It's really weird, really weird. But I didn't see that tweet. I saw he was on Twitch after the win. I really wanted to log in and check it out, but it was at like 2 a.m. So maybe he, I might have to go back and rewatch that one. He probably let loose.
Yeah, it actually would have been more endearing if he was just like, here's your PR move. You know what? I love golf so much. I want to win so bad that I lashed out in a moment of, in a fit of rage, and I fixed myself, and we moved on. Like that. That's it. We're not even talking about this today, if that's what he says. Let's go a little bit deeper on this, because now that he's finally won, the conversation moves to, can he win a major like this? Obviously, right? The goalposts continue to move, but also the bigger dramatic version of this, Eric, would be like, he's ushering in a new era where all of the, like Kevin Kisner mentioned it after the round. Doc Redman mentioned it when I had him on the pod. He's like, he's turning heads. Like, it's insane what's happening. Like, are we going to see it? Is it going to take more than just a win at the Rocket Mortgage Classic for 212 guys or whatever on the PGA Tour and everybody else who's trying to get there to try to get as much distance no matter what the cost?
Truthfully, I think he could have won the Rocket Mortgage in his old frame. He had 5 wins with his old body, his old skill set. Sure. Obviously, this is turning heads, and again, he doesn't have the results in major championships, but again, that was the old Bryson. So we shall see how this plays at TPC Harding Park. That's really when he's going to start drawing the attention, because if it plays there and he's as dominant there as he was at the Rocket Mortgage, which didn't have the best field, the weakest field of the restart. So if he won the Travelers, or if he won Colonial with like McIlroy in the field and Koepka there, it would have been a little different. But he's definitely piqued the interest of probably everyone on tour. And when Justin Thomas is praising your insane driving ability and just like kind of being in awe of watching Bryson hit balls on the tee and just how straight and how accurate these 350-yard bombs are, he's definitely caught the eye of everyone on tour. And I think maybe we want to touch in on this, but Koepka's extremely weird and cryptic tweet from yesterday about mentioning the S word is I found that extremely bizarre and almost kind of a cheap shot to say, or to insinuate that Bryson might be on steroids or of some sort. It was it's a wild turn of events. I mean, he's the talk of the tour for good and bad reasons.
Yeah, I didn't really I guess I got that tweet, but I was also like, where did this come from?
I didn't understand where it come from. I'm assuming maybe that's on me to assume that, but I'm guessing he's talking about Bryson.
He has to be.
He has to be. What's the other steroid reference on the PGA Tour right now? There's nothing.
And especially because they they've jabbed each other on social media before, right? Like this makes sense.
Especially about like body figure and six packs.
Yeah.
And, this is a weird beef between these two guys, and a lot of it, I forget what tournament it was at the end of last playoff when Brooks said Bryson can come say it to my face, or maybe it was the other way around, but they had a confrontation on the range, and everyone was like, oh, Brooks would kick the crap out of Bryson. And now I don't know, that would be some heavyweight match to watch.
Well, Brooks is so much taller too. Bryson's not a tall guy, and adds, now he's up to what, 235 or whatever.
It's one of the more interesting stories on tour. And now Brooks isn't even playing next week at Memorial, I think. So I don't I wanted to see
He's
that.
He's not playing next week?
It doesn't sound like it. That was kind of there was something going on Twitter where No Lang Up said, Brooks and Bryson should be paired together. And then Brooks wasn't in the field, but Memorial in June said that Brooks was in the field. So I think he's taking next week off and then playing the 3M. So I don't know when we're
really
going to see Brooks and Bryson together. Yeah,
what's that about?
I found it super strange, but I think Koepka's in the Workday field because Chase got a sponsor's invite.
So it's like a package deal?
Yeah, it's the 2-for-1 Koepka special there. So this is kind of his makeup event for the Travelers, and then I would assume he's taking next week off and then gearing up for the PGA. But
a guy that prides himself on winning only the biggest tournaments is
I
going to
know.
skip the Memorial to play the 3M?
He's stepping aside. Yeah, for Tiger's return, probably the best field we'll have so far this season. He's going to play the 3M instead.
Oh
It
my
seems
God.
it seems really weird, especially with a chance to go against, Bryson, where he's won before, and you can't fire steroid shots at someone and then just take a
Not
week
show up.
off and
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
I
He
love
doesn't
the
have to,
beef.
he doesn't have to make it official until what, Friday afternoon.
Friday, yeah. We'll find
So
out, but
we'll find out.
apparently Golf Channel was also reporting that
This is the first I've heard. I would be shocked. This is the first I've heard of this.
Yeah, Brooks.
I would be very surprised, but if it's well sourced, wow.
But like, yeah, I don't know. It's came out from Golf Channel saying that Brooks was going to take the Memorial off and then play 3M, WGC where he's defending, and then PGA where he's defending. So maybe he doesn't want to play 4 weeks in a row. I don't know what his commitment to 3M is, but
right,
got some deal there as well.
Wow. Okay, Ryder Cup. So we are again recording this Wednesday afternoon on the East Coast. So this morning we got like the official word that the Ryder Cup has been postponed, which I will tell you, I thought this announcement was supposed to happen last week, by the way, and it never happened. But this is something we've known for, like, we've been trending in this direction for a while, right? Like, so now it is just official that the Ryder Cup will move to 2021. That September date. It's the end of September. It's actually, I think, a week earlier than what the President's Cup week was. And then in turn, the President's Cup will now move to 2022. And the President's Cup will go back to even year cadence, and the Ryder Cup will go back to odd year cadence. Do I have that right?
That is all correct. Yeah.
So this is where we were,
but unfortunate.
This is where we were headed here.
Yeah, like it was always up in the air, and when every top player is saying, "I don't want to play the Ryder Cup without fans," it's like we're probably not going to play the Ryder Cup. That just is what it is. And 2020's kind of been a crappy, been a huge letdown of a year. So it's just another blow, but an expected one at that.
Without a union in golf, which is we don't have a players union, right? The voices of the players and the big name players, it drives a lot. We talked about that a lot when Rory kind of sounded the alarm at the players after Jay Monahan was like, we just won't let fans in tomorrow. We'll be fine. And Rory was like, we got to get the hell out of here. And of course they shut it all down. And then you get, Rory and Koepka and other guys saying a Ryder Cup without fans is not really a Ryder Cup. And then apparently some of the contingency plans, they were thinking about trying to get like 10,000 people into Whistling Straits in this September, which is also like a disaster. And then the other thing is bringing fans in. Travel's the biggest issue in a golf world that we live in right now. The bubble, the PGA Tour's bubble that travels from city to city, and also like players, fans, guys traveling from Europe, quarantining on both ends. Like this, it would be a disaster to try to pull off in September.
It made, even for Memorial next week, to have fans there, it's unnecessary. It's a giant risk that you don't need. I mean, the Ryder Cup, say they brought a bunch of fans in and then a couple guys catch COVID, and I don't know, the Masters would be right around the corner. I just postpone it, remove it from the schedule. That's fine. We got, I think, Corrales Punta Cana tournament steps in, so it'll get a primetime field. That'll be one to watch.
That'll be a big boy.
It's nice. What a secondary event to pivot to instead of the Ryder Cup, but is what it is. I mean, I've been expecting this news for a long time, so it just didn't really come as a shock.
Right.
But I'll say, all of this beef with Bryson and Koepka and Patrick Reed after the President's Cup, like, I live for that. So I was praying there was going to be one early on, but obviously that's not going to happen. Hopefully this turmoil can continue for another, I guess, like 15 months or whatever it is now. But
fingers crossed.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Time for it to brew. So I guess we're going to figure out, there's already been a couple of reports about like how this is going to impact the qualifications. We know that the U.S. already expanded from like 4 captains picks to 6. Now they'll have to figure out, I thought I saw something about the European side when they were going to freeze the Ryder Cup standings and when they were going to restart them, because now it's awkward, right? Like if you would have qualified for the 2020 Ryder Cup and in 15 months you're now garbage, and you're not like they don't want you on the team, or the opposite of where if you take everybody who was supposed to be on the 2020 Ryder Cup team and you put them on 2021 automatically, you might have a guy who was like peaking right now and is in the worst possible form, hasn't done anything for 15 months. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff to figure out.
I think the European tour, I guess the European team, they've canceled. They've stopped accumulating points until 2021. So kind of fixes that problem, and then they'll have 9 months, I guess, to start collecting points again. So whatever they have now is frozen, and then they'll just start collecting them again. And I'm assuming the U.S. will do something similar. You can't, although the top guys in the States will definitely be the top guys come, next September. It'll be like 1 or 2 guys that'll have to be decided upon, but they'll figure that out. I'm not sure. I don't have the numbers or the standings right in front of me, but I'm not sure who's like on the cusp.
I just brought up the standings and I was going to make you guess, like off the top of your head. It was going to be a fun game we were going to play.
So the American team?
Yeah, we'll start with the American team. So as of right now, who do you think is like, I guess, qualified for this team?
So like the top 8.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Webb?
Yes, 3rd.
Koepka?
Yes, 1st.
Bryson?
Yes, 4th.
DJ?
Yes, 2nd. So you got the top 4. That's pretty good.
Cantlay?
Cantlay is not. I think because he hasn't. So he's all the way down. Yeah, he played so little. He's all the way down at 14th. But I imagine he would be. Yeah, JT would be 8th.
There's probably Patrick Reed will be in there.
Yep, 6th.
And
this is a Xander.
Oh yeah, okay. It's all the majors from last year, I guess. So who's the big ones?
So Gary Woodland would be the other one.
Yeah.
Tiger's 9th, Finau 10th, Berger 11, Kuchar 12. Morikawa's 16. I'd love to see him on a Ryder Cup team.
Gives another year for those guys, Hovland and Morikawa to make a run.
Yeah. Well, Hovland is from Norway, so. For the European. Yes. Sorry. I was like, he's not going to make the American team.
I definitely know that. I think I know golf enough.
My bad. I was just like laser focused on the American squad. Okay, so the Europe team is even weirder because the way they do their points is kind of differently. So they have European points and then they have world points. So I'm just going to go with, I guess I've got to go with European points, it's weird though. So it's like Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Victor Perez, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Bernd Wiesberger, Terrell Hatton, Danny Willett. That's their top 8. That will not be the team come
hopefully not.
Come Ryder Cup 2021.
Europeans might have dodged a huge bullet here.
Yeah, honestly, they might have if that was the team they were going to have to roll.
All these guys are peaking on the States, and then you got like Molinari and a bunch of other Europeans that were a big part of the last team that are struggling right now. I don't know what Stenson's up to. Sergio stinks. It's they're a mess. Yeah,
Stenson. Okay, so he hasn't played, right? Stenson has not played.
He's been a ghost. I don't know if he's in Europe still or what he's doing, but
I'm gonna look it up because I don't think he's played. I don't think he's played in 2020. Like anywhere.
Really?
Maybe on the Euro. Hold on. Oh, I guess he has. All right. He played in Singapore the 3rd week of the year.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, I was there, obviously. It was front and center. He played in Dubai the 4th week. Then he played in Saudi Arabia. Oh, the only event he played over here was the Arnold Palmer. He missed the cut at the Arnold Palmer.
Okay. Yeah. So he was starting his American swing and then
the shutdown. Yeah. Okay, there was a name on that American list that I want to talk through because you tweeted something very interesting. It's Gary Woodland. I have been very vocal about my lack of Gary Woodland support currently because he's been absolutely brutal off the tee, and you tweeted something out that might give a little more information about that.
Well, he made a driver switch coming out of the break. He put a Wilson driver in the bag, and he's lost 9.2 strokes off the tee since. Now, obviously, he's not using that. Yeah, that's not great. Not good at all. He's not using that club every time, so it's maybe a little more mental when he puts a tee in the ground. It just kind of his swing gets a little lost. But it's something I like monitoring, kind of equipment changes of that nature. We've seen it with Rose recently, kind of refining his ball striking since switching back to TaylorMade. So this is it's odd for Woodland to. He's never been he's been long, but we've always loved Gary at kind of club down courses. So his driver can get a little squirrely at times.
Yeah.
But I just found it odd that he would switch and then keep going with the switch, even though it didn't work the first 2 weeks. And then the Travelers, he was pretty bad again. So something to keep an eye on. So I've been looking for Gary Woodland Getty images for the last 2 days, trying to find if someone has a picture of if he's using a new driver or not. But yeah, you're all backed up by data. I just go based on pictures.
Yours is probably better, dude. I mean, honestly, the stuff that we get from like you going through the pictures, or like when Mark Immelman's at the course, I think the community, we as like a DFS community, should like pay someone who we can get into like all the practice round, like obviously when things return to normal or whatever, and like take photos of everyone's bags. Like there's so much to that stuff, like what's going on that week. It's really insightful.
Even just like a range report. Like if I don't know, you can tell how guys are feeling in practice rounds. Like I remember when I was out in Torrey, just kind of walking around, you can get a sense if guys are really struggling, what they're working on. Like they'll drop like 10 balls on the putting green, like on a certain hole, and just like really try to hone in on a certain, type of putt or a chip or whatever it is. You can see how guys are trying to build up for that week. It'd be nice to get a little bit more information from the grounds instead of guessing through pictures and kind of various reports. But one day,
$1 million idea. We'll crowd fund someone to travel around to every tournament and give us a weekly report.
Well, I mean, they have guys doing it now. Just they're not asking the right questions. They're not asking, specifics like that. They're just getting, how you feeling this week? What's the vibe like? All that type of.
All right, so we just need to hone in. We just need to hone in the questions.
Yeah, you just got to get the more gambling related questions. We need to know these things.
This week, Workday Charity Open, week 1 of 2 at Muirfield Village. I think probably by this point in the week, we've kind of the differences between what we expect this week and next week have kind of been covered ad nauseum. Just to recap, essentially from what we understand, this week we'll play shorter. The rough will be a little bit shorter. The greens will be slower. Next week, we expect the greens to be faster. We expect the rough to be a little bit thicker. And we expect a different set of tee boxes and pin positions to be used. Am I missing anything, Eric?
That's been everything that I've heard that's reported. I actually spoke with Mackenzie Hughes yesterday, and
okay, big dog.
My good friend Mackenzie. I talked to him.
You and Mac Daddy, yeah.
We're always chatting. But he said he's played Muirfield twice, 2 Memorials, and for someone who's he knows how to roll the rock, so he's got a good feel for greens. He played 18 holes on Tuesday, and he didn't really notice that much of a difference in the speed of the greens. He said they were still very fast, maybe not lightning speed that Muirfield's used to. So I think they run at like a 13. So they're probably in like the 12 and a half range, not like a 10 or an 11. Great. So pretty much the same in terms of green speeds. And then he said the rough is actually not very noticeable compared to the last few seasons. Maybe they grow it up for Memorial, but the rough seems to be pretty in line with what he's used to seeing as well. So he liked the fact that it's not going to be changing too drastically week to week. I think every guy's going to have that same kind of thought, and it would be tough to play the same course under different conditions and try to get used to things that quickly. But it's nice they are keeping things relatively the same for both weeks.
I love it. The one thing I was actually interested in was, like late on Sunday when you've got 156 golfers going through, and then they cut it down and there's like natural landing areas. Those fairways turn into Swiss cheese. I was like, oh my God, they're going to play another week right after that. It's going to be, you're going to be in a divot every single time, which by the way, if I could change a rule about golf, it would be if you're in a divot in the fairway, you should never have to hit out of it.
Dumbest rule in the world, I think. Like I've done my job. I'm just hit in someone else's mess. Like what are we doing here?
The whole game is about protecting the field, and that is like literally the one thing. Like you are playing a course in a different condition as the person who played it in front of you. It's the most unfair aspect of golf. I cannot even imagine a scenario in which you would have to hit it out of there, but here we are.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there will be some noticeable divot balls next week, and there might be some words because, like you said, they're all landing it in the same area pretty much, and it's bound to happen. Next week a little bit more frequently than this week, but it happens way too often to begin with.
Exactly. And from what I understand, so Mark Immelman told us on the first cut pod, he was meeting, I think he met with like the superintendent or whatever. So the holes that have really specific landing areas, the ones that like everyone hits to, they're gonna really try to move the tee boxes like forward and back 30 yards so that they're they're different landing areas from week to week. But there are gonna be some holes where like you can't really do that. So I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, it's the whole thing's going to be interesting to watch. Hughes actually said it's going to feel like his home course by the end of next week, and we're going to know this course inside and out. If you didn't know it already, you're going to really get to know it after watching it for 2 consecutive weeks. So at least it's a nice course to do it at.
Yes, and those guys are like in the same hotel room for like 2 straight weeks. Like, good luck, man. You might get sick of this. And then what if you miss the cut and you just have to like hang and like wait for next week? Oh God, that's
so many more range sessions for Sungjae. He's not going to miss the cut, but.
In full garb at the range. All right, well, let's talk about who could potentially win this golf tournament. So I thought what was interesting compared to last week, the top of like the betting board, for example, last week there were no question marks. Bryson was full steam ahead. Webb was he was coming off a win. He was full steam ahead. You had nothing bad to say about Terrell Hatton. You had nothing bad to say about Victor Hovland. Those guys were all like solid options. This week there's a lot more question marks at the top. You've got Justin Thomas, who's coming off of a miscut. John Rahm, who hasn't been great. Brooks, who flashed a little bit, but you don't know. Hideki's up there. I mean, Cantlay's like the only guy without question marks, right? Like, I think it's a very big difference from week to week about the top guys.
Yeah, it is. Last week was staring you right in the face, and I still whiffed, which is unfortunate. But yeah, this week it's going to be interesting to see how these guys rebound. I'm expecting big things out of Rahm and JT. They suit this course perfectly, but Rahm has just kind of been a bit of a disaster coming out of the break. And I wonder if they're obviously trying to play well, but I feel like there has to be some sort of preparation for next week as well. Like this week, the winner, I'm going to sound like an idiot to say this, but like the winner gets 1.1 million, which
say it.
That's the John Deere purse, right? Is it not? Like these guys wouldn't play the John, like the next week is just such a more prestigious event with a larger field, a larger purse. There's more that comes along with the Memorial win.
Yeah, you get the 3-year exemption instead of 2 years. Like it is elevated status, like literally elevated status.
Maybe I'm thinking way too far into this, but there's got to be some level of preparation for some of these guys, especially with majors rolling around. I don't know. Grinding out a week here at the Workday maybe won't bode well for guys next week, so it's something to watch as well. There's definitely a lot of question marks at the top, but
okay. So who's your pick? Who do you like?
So
just to be clear, last week you went with Patrick Reed. He missed the cut.
Yeah, what was his deal, man?
The week before you had DJ. That worked out well for the win.
Hit or miss. I think you're up.
Oh, I get to go first. Okay, so I had Hovland last week.
Oh, you had Hovland. Okay.
I had Hovland. I used Bryson. Okay, so I used Bryson twice in the first 5 times we did this. Didn't get a win. Didn't use him last week, but took Hovland instead. T11, I believe. I'm going to take Brooks. I kind of do like the fact that he's not, if that's true and he's not playing next week, I do think there is something to the preparation. I think there's something to seeing a course, depending on how drastic it is, how drastic the changes are, seeing it one time and then having to play it again might not be as big of an advantage as we think it is. Like if you've been like, if somehow they could get, and it sounds like that it might not be, but like if the greens were 11 this week and running like 13 next, and it kind of blows your mind, and it takes you 2 rounds to figure it out again. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing. But Brooks is starting to look like Brooks, and the putter's back every round. This restart, he's gained strokes putting. His off the tee game, just fine. The approach game, it's getting a little bit better. So I'm optimistic here that Brooks is about to put it all together.
I don't mind the Brooks one. I'm very interested. I'm always interested in Koepka's schedule because I do think he is someone who, and he's admitted this, that he likes going out and, getting in the groove, maybe not giving it everything he has for maybe a week that's a few weeks out from a major. So I'm questioning why he's at the Workday Charity Open, to be honest, because he is not playing next week. I don't have an answer for you. I think it's maybe Chase related, but I don't mind the Brooks pick at all. I will go with Cantlay's the obvious one, but I'm going to go with Schauffele because I think Schauffele is someone who gets extremely invested in 1 week, and when he is in the hunt, and he was in the hunt at Colonial. And I think that obviously he didn't pull through there. He just gets a little dejected afterward, and it takes him a while to get going again. And I think that's why you see some of his results are a little sporadic. Maybe it's kind of almost like a little Koepka-esque. He doesn't really necessarily grind on the weekend. Like he's not someone who's going to make the cut on the number and then go 62, 62 and end up with a top 5. He's just going to kind of coast through the rest of the weekend, which it's an interesting trait to have. But I think once he gets to a good start, he's kind of a little more focused. So I think Schauffele, he's obviously in good form. He's going to kind of rebound this week.
There you go. Xander, for Eric, I will take Brooks Koepka. Hopefully we get a sweat on the weekend. Eric, you are talking to Mackenzie Hughes. Your work can be found on The Score. What else is going on over there?
Not too much, to be honest. Just download the Score app. It's the say this every week. The Score, with sports ramping up. If you are in New Jersey, download the Score Bet. That's our new betting platform, betting app that we are excited about. So yeah, check that out.
Can you name the capital of New Jersey?
Me?
Yeah.
I know one city. I don't know if it's the capital. Newark?
I think it's actually Trenton, but Newark. Okay, so hold on. There's a Newark, New Jersey, and a Newark, Delaware, and a New York, New York. That's kind of messed up, isn't it?
Rick, if you want to do Canadian geography, I'll happily challenge you to that.
I cannot name a lot of things in Canada. Ontario. There's also an Ontario, California.
Yeah, that gets confusing sometimes. They have a hockey team too. I know that.
They do. Yeah, no, I don't want to play geography games with cross border. I think you'll do a lot better.
I'm usually pretty good.
There.
Yeah, I don't know yeah. New Jersey off the top of my head.
We don't get a lot of exposure to Canadian cities and things like that here. I think you'd kick my butt.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Eric Patterson, you can find him on Twitter at @EPATGolf. You can find me on Twitter at RickRunGood. This has been 300 Yards to Unknown. Catch you next time.